So we've got the ego hierarchy way of seeing things, which is what we've been doing without really thinking, really. And then what's this one in comparison?
That's like, yeah, there is no hierarchy.
Yeah.
So it's more of like mixed up, where everyone is seen equally. And so we need to think about, instead of having a world that is very much human-centered, how can we have a world that is based on the whole ecosystem around us? Because without some of those animals, we won't survive as a species either. We all need each other. That's a nice wee exercise to do with the students as well. If you look online, there is a game called The Web of Life, which is lovely for them to understand the relationship with it. So we really need to learn to design with nature, because we are part of nature, and if we don't consider that, then we're not looking after our own home. So to collaborate with this ecosystem, the interconnectivity of all the animals, it's called the more than human world, which is a term that's kind of getting a little bit more popular these days. And it's the relationship between communities and the ecosystem within which they are situated. And the word ecosystem, to me, it can relate also to theater, because it's not the ecosystem of just the planet Earth, it's the ecosystem of a team again. So going back to the well-being, you've got everyone in that team is important. That goes back to the hierarchy that we talked about earlier. And one way to do that is to try to find local materials, maybe, instead of posting things from far away. So find what's available close to you, which can help bring a whole new dimension to creativity and letting the material guide the artist. This is another definition for ecological design, which is any form of design that minimizes environmentally destructive impacts by integrating itself within living processes. This is the same show as I mentioned earlier for the well-being, the glimpsing air pockets. And the dance artist and myself went to forage willow in East Lothian, actually, because we were looking for material to build the set, and we wanted to bring nature inside and something that the kids could relate to by the touching. So after doing a bit of research, I found this nursery about half an hour away from mine, who had lots of willow growing. They didn't know what to do with it, and they were just going to prune it and put it in the compost, because willow, it's a tree that grows really fast, so every year you need to prune it. And so actually they were really happy for us to come in, do the work for free for them, get rid of all the willow, and then we had quite a substantial amount of willow to build the set, which we built 2 trees out of it. So bottom left corner, which my assistant Hannah and myself wove into trees. And
did you say was that East Lothian you said there, Mona?
Yeah.
Was that quite easy to find then, to do that kind of search for somewhere? How did you find out about that?
Well, I used the good old Google to find the nurseries around the area, and then I called a few of them to see if they had any. At first, actually, I was looking to buy, and then I talked to this particular nursery, and they were like, well, actually, if you want to come and cut it yourself, you can have as much as you want. So it worked out great because, budgets are never really big anyway. So it was really good. And Christina and I just spent the day, having a picnic and cutting willow and being outside in the fresh air. And we used that time to talk a lot about the performance actually and what she wanted to get out of the show, which was an extra bonus for it. Um, and building the trees, I had a general idea about what they would look like, but by doing the weaving itself, I don't know if you've ever woven willow, but it's quite temperamental. So you have probably, yeah, it's a great material, but you can't exactly decide how you're going to do it. So maybe if you've got 20 years of making baskets, maybe, but for me, it was one of the first, well, it was the first time I was making such a big thing. And it kept changing. And it's a bit like pottery, as much as you want a pot to be a certain way, your hand moves the clay, but the clay moves your hand as well. And so that really brought a different part of creativity, because I could have just given a drawing to someone and asked, to buy MDF or whatever and make tree, and that would have been, to me, would have been so less. But here, I feel like I brought a little bit of nature for the kids, and they could touch it and really um, use all their senses to feel the material. We also had real plants on stage, which is a great idea, but it's also hard work because you have to keep them alive. So sometimes it's good, you can have doubles of plants, so they get changed in between shows, while some are taking a little rest, and getting watered. The other ones are back on stage performing.